Welcome to Creepy Confidential. I'm your host, Noelle, your resident weirdo Wisconsinite. I open case files on cryptids, cults, conspiracies, and other worldly creepy, bringing you new cases, live broadcasts, and local lore. So get ready, creeps. It's Creepy Confidential. What's up, creeps? Welcome to our debut of Creepy Confidential After Dark. This is where we go off script, no rules. We talk about whatever we want, and we have a little fun. So grab a beverage and join us here as we introduce our first guests. I'm very excited. The lovely gents from What Goes Bump in the Night. Trevor Jensen and Riley Clark. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
I'm very excited. Now, these lovely gents had Miss Creep Noelle over on their show a couple weeks ago, and I had so much fun. I'm like, hey guys, come to my show. So we have lots to talk about. If we could tell the lovely Creep Nation out there, our creeps, tell us a little bit about your podcast. What's What Goes Bump in the Night?
What isn't there to say? We talk about literally everything under the sun. So Riley himself has also wrote some stories that we have also read on the podcast. So he's an author at this point.
Yeah, you could say that, I guess.
Not only do we have the podcast, we also have a vlog series of investigations that we go on. We like to cover basically anything from cryptids to aliens to conspiracies to cults.
Creepypastas.
Which is why we get along.
Yep.
Yeah.
AI written stories. Oh, what else is there? I think my child is a demon some days. I don't know.
Basically, anything that falls under the category goes bump in the night. Like, if it gives you chills, if it makes your hair stand on end, if it makes you second guess, the natural line of nature, we're probably going to talk about it.
And we just hit the milestone of the 150th episode. So there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff to go back on.
You guys. Right. I'm like, whoo, that's a lot of work.
We honestly, when we started it, I never thought we would go this long. Much as we were into it, I was like, I don't know realistically if we're just gonna be like, well, fuck this, nobody wants to listen to it, or like, how it's gonna work out logistically like that.
Right. We always said that once we reached like 100 or 200 episodes, that's the point of no return. We can't quit after that. Like once you get past that point, like you quit and you're letting down so many people, and you wouldn't even realize it. But I mean, you go and check your stats, and you see you're getting plays all over the entire world. And it's like
holy shit, dude. Care. That's the part that gets me the most, is like just like TikTok in general right now for me, outside of even the podcast doing like crazy numbers itself, is like my TikTok is like my personal TikTok that I'm just posting our videos on is like blowing up, and I'm like, there's something to this.
Same. I started, at first I didn't pay any attention to TikTok. I
thought it was such a hack. I was like, everybody's such a weeb that does it.
Yeah, I was like, this is kid stuff, and I just focused on telling my stories. And then I started making little clips. And I'll be honest, I looked the other day and I was like, how do I have 407 people that are actually watching what the hell I'm doing?
One of my videos just went over 800 today, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I was, right. And the views on the video are like over 800, a couple of them. And I was like, okay, I will keep
and that's like in one day too. I was like, I realistically didn't think that it reaches that much of an audience, and I questioned too, like the legitimately, like of all of it, if it's like
how many
bots
are
are seeing it, exactly, like that kind of stuff.
They're
But
just like swinging by.
Have you gone and like looked at the people that follow you and stuff?
Oh yeah, but like I don't care. I follow it all back. Like the ones I hit the follow list, and it's just like, meow.
And that's what's cool is so far the majority, 90% at least on Creepy Confidential, it's like they're paranormal teams. They're pretty much all paranormal teams.
A ton of European ones for me. Cool. And I'm like, sick. This is awesome. I can't understand a word they're fucking saying, but awesome.
Now Right? You're like, I'm just gonna watch because you get the general vibe of what's happening.
Yeah, like when it says like Der
cool.
Sturken like paranormal, I'm like, this is gonna be cool. And then you watch the video and it's like and it's like,
You're like,
okay.
Yeah, and well, something you mentioned, you write stories, and that was actually how I found you guys, because I like creepy podcasts myself, was the campfire stories. And I loved the campfire series. I loved how it started with the crackling, and then you literally, the story about you getting tied up in a chair. Trevor,
that was the one.
I wanted to beat them up, and I'd never talked to you, known you, whatever, and I felt violent urges toward these people. It was awful. So see, I listen to all kinds of stuff. People are like, "Oh, yeah, blah."
Do you want to hear an even worse story? It's not paranormal, but it's funny, but it's not funny. So like my friends were bullies, but they weren't bullies because we all did it back and forth to each other. But there's 2 occasions where it was cruelty, I would say. Right. So one of my friends, he was big into playing music, so he had a guitar. So he took one of the strings that broke, and he called it his naughty boy whip. And I got
metal strings.
Yeah, I got trapped in a pantry closet because every time I'd come out, I get whipped with it.
Permanent scarring.
It was like 45 fucking minutes.
You'll lose an eyeball. You're like, it was worth it.
Oh god, it was so bad. And then another time we were like in my buddy's basement, and he had one of those poles in there. It's like one of those support poles in the middle with nothing around it. Yeah,
we used to skate around it.
Yeah, they decided to like handcuff me and put me at one of the like kiddie tables, and then my hands were so far away, but they put just out of my reach a bowl of ice cream, and they're like, "Get it before it melts." I was like,
meanwhile, you're in a deserted basement where there's ghosts.
They were mean, but I love them. I've known them since I was a child too. It's funny.
Well, I have a group of like I can think like, but they've never done that to me. I've been thrown in the snow on my birthday, but
yeah,
I haven't had that happen.
I mean, me and Riley got into a fist fight on my birthday because I couldn't remember anything, and I was blackout drunk.
It's true. I was just trying to get him in the car.
I was cold and sick. I mean, apparently I fell asleep at the bar. I don't remember that, and then I threw up in the bathroom, and I don't remember that. But I remember sleeping in our other friend's car, and then I remember Riley being like, "Dude, my sister's here. Let's fucking go." And like, I was just like, "No, I'm sleeping."
Some bonding experiences to get you where you are today.
Yeah, we've been friends for over a decade now. But I will circle back to, you mentioned the campfire thing. I will bring up, because we've never actually talked about why we came up with the campfire background as like a theme that we've kept literally for every single episode. I love that idea.
Like,
that was the main idea too.
Yeah. So when we created our first episode, we were listening to it back, and we were sitting there and we're like,
it's just us talking.
It's missing something. like it needs something to like draw in the audience. Like, sure, our story is entertaining, but like, how many
everybody can tell a story too.
Yeah.
Like it's not a
what's
niche.
gonna like set the mood.
But there is a style to it.
Yeah,
you do have to be good at it.
I actually I actually sound engineered the entire background. So I created every single stem for that campfire. The wind that goes through to create the bassy noises. Yep. It
was wild.
The insects that are in the background, the campfire
really
itself.
Good.
Like
we had to cut the howl out because it was too much.
Yeah. There used to be like a howl that came through every once in a while. Like,
and it would break everything up.
Yeah,
it was way too
loud.
strong.
It would just ruin everything. But yeah, that's and you've heard of Jim Harold's campfire stories, right?
I can honestly say no, but there's just a chance that my brain has forgotten it.
Sounds familiar. It's one of those maybe.
He's like one of the like top like creepypasta podcasts to ever exist. He's like the number one if you go to look at podcast charts for spooky stuff, he's probably top 10. Always has been. Millions and millions of downloads. But I kind of stole that campfire idea from him. Though it's not his campfire, I created it myself.
Sure. But the idea of
that idea, because it just seemed to like really fit what we were trying to go for, like telling stories around a campfire. Where do you tell ghost stories? Around a campfire.
Around a campfire.
I wish you guys saw this. My freaking dog just tried to eat a fly, and I mean, she got like 6 feet off the ground. It was nuts.
I love pets. You'll probably see or hear mine throughout the thing. But that, like, I would say that's one of the first things. I remember hearing your intro, and all I could think is, these guys sound like William Shatner. Because it was like, because I was known, so in my group, I was known for being like the Shatner. I would always, when I'd get excited, I would talk like that. And as soon as he did, I'm like, what goes bump in the night? And I was like, there's Shatner. I love it.
It just, for some reason, like, it just rolled so easy. Just like how when we came up with our personas, it was like Rick Van Winkle. And I was like, why does that just fit so well? And then he's like, I'm Billy. And I was like, what the fuck? Why does that fit so good?
Trevor, do you want to bring out our personas for a little bit? Like,
not maybe if I do, I feel like Violet's gonna come over here and be like, what the fuck is happening? I don't want to like poke that bear yet. When mom gets home, yeah, I'm all for it.
Right.
Hey guys, I'm Billy. Billy here.
Sounds like you're on helium.
Oh, it's bad. It's so bad. I immediately try to channel my like my best Will Ferrell and Anchorman impression. I'm Ron Burgundy.
I'm in a film of emotions.
You got in the fridge and ate a whole wheel of cheese? I'm not even mad. Quite impressed, actually.
But I understand that line of thought.
Yeah.
Because when you like, sure, there's a way that you normally talk, and then there's a way that when you tell a story.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that was like such a big part of it. Was like when I was started, I enjoyed, for not being an Englishy write a story kind of person, I enjoyed writing the short story and then talking about the thing that I was telling a story about. And it was like, you almost had to change your mindset. Yeah. That's part of it though, I think, is creating a persona with your voice. Like, what am I going to sound like? I can't just say, hey, how's it going? You know?
Oh, hey.
Yeah, that's the thing too, is like we've read plenty of stories just in our normal voice, right?
I really like
there's some other
ones.
stories that like we're so into them that while we're reading, there's one story in particular, Trevor knows exactly where I'm going with this. He reads it like halfway normal, and then
it just divulges into a southern accent.
A southern
accent.
Yeah, because it was like a southern Wendigo story, and he was like in prison, and I was like, I gotta channel this. Like, I have to be there.
The story.
And then
but there's something
by the end
of
it, I was full blown southern.
And I never even said anything as we were recording. I just let it happen. I was like, do you realize what just happened there? And he's like,
just listening back.
Somebody's
too,
coming out.
Hilarious.
Just let him.
And then from that point on, we were like, we can voice act. Like, why do we just like read it like monotone and boring? Like, it's so much more fun.
I have it in me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I find that fun. Like, I don't think I could do like a southern accent or something like that, but
I can't do
it's like some stories you need you have to kind of drop your voice and make it very sassy, you know, or
that's
you have
exactly where we're at right now with the narration for our newest
it's fun.
video.
And I think people enjoy it. I think because then it's like, tell me about the story. Like, they get more into it.
Intrigued.
Yeah, I'm so intrigued.
And for some reason, when I like throw on some voice acting, I read better. I don't know what it is.
He does.
I think it's because you're paying attention. Like, you're
into
paying
his
attention
head too, though. Yeah. So much. He'll be reading and he'll be like, says the same sentence 4 times, says it the exact same way 4 times, hits stop, reads it completely fine, no hiccups, no problem, not even like a mispronunciation, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna record.
Oh yeah, I haven't kept my like outtakes or anything. Mr. Creep tells me I should. That
you should, and then
at the
Patreons.
Yes,
right
exactly.
There. Like, the Patreon listeners get to see those.
And me dealing with the critters, like, I'll be in the middle. I'm like halfway in, not a single need for an edit. I'm talking beautiful, and all of a sudden,
crispy.
Brum, 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 in the background, and I'm like, beep. I'm so angry.
And then you see the cats just crash into the walls and everything, and stuff starts falling, and you're like, I give up. Like,
my house is possessed.
That's exactly how I feel about our 2 cats and dog. It's like a fucking rampage when they start going.
Yeah.
It's like, what's getting broke?
Many of our episodes where we're recording and then Buttons is just like in the mic, just
But I'm waiting for because my older lady will come up but she'll get in there and be like Like, what are you doing?
Have you had lunch?
Yeah. Yeah. But speaking of possessed houses, so last time we met, I was telling the story about the first time that I had something paranormal happen to me.
Yep.
And I find it funny that the story was just going normal. And as soon as I finished telling it, you had something fall off the wall right behind you that had not fallen before.
I can show the audience
and still has not fallen again.
So it's like a shelf. It's a shelf.
It's a full on what do you call those things? Like a header above a headboard or
yeah. So it's got some. It's not like
and
some
it's a
thing.
trifold thing too, so it doesn't just sit flat. Like I can get it down and show everybody too.
Yeah.
Why is this so tight?
I think I did not expect that to happen, first of all. And for a person who I'm like, we obviously didn't have any equipment rolling. How did this fall? How did it just like come off?
It was really strange.
No idea.
It was so strange.
Okay, I guess
I love that you guys made the clip of it so that you could like
you
kind
can
of like
loop
a
it
bite
around
size,
and be
so
like,
you
what
could loop
the
it. Because it's so weird. It doesn't just fall down. It's
no,
like
it like
out and down.
Yeah.
It almost looks like somebody like swiped the bottom out and then it floats because it was so gentle the way it comes down. But like there's no air in this room, and like even when I turn on my AC, like I can have that full blast all day long, leave for work, come home, and it has never moved.
And nothing's there.
And I can vouch. It's literally been up there for like 3 years.
Yeah, I have
fallen down.
I have quite the magic card collection, and that was one of the first boxes I ever bought because it was shiny. And I was like, it's going up there. It looks cool.
Yeah, it's I found that so interesting. And I remember, I think I might have sent these to you. I'm almost sure. But for people who obviously weren't in our DMs. So the story is that there's 2 veterans and that they are in the graveyard. They're buried next to each other. And I went back after I had that story to determine if there is even 2 men there, let alone how would they know my car and all this other stuff. Right. And I brought pictures to share. So a little show and tell. Now, keep in mind, I haven't done this part before. So we're going to try and do a little presentation here because I assume we just click over and we can show these pictures.
Yeah.
So this is the first gentleman, Robert Atwood. And then next to him, we have this man, also a military veteran. And you can see in the graveyard that they are right next to each other. They are those 2 big graves that you see.
Yeah.
So imagine my car door, my window was open, and these are the 2 dudes that were sitting next to me. So I found it so strange, that we have, I don't know, like, did somehow or do I still have these 2 veterans that have been following me?
Yeah.
Right. Could it have been them? Like,
right.
That would be crazy
so many questions.
If they were able to travel to us through the internet. Like,
right. To like show that, hey,
it's transfers of energy. And I mean, what are we using right now? Energy.
Yeah. It was just, it kind of opened my mind that could this be that this is these 2 gentlemen? I just think it's crazy.
Yeah.
I think it's wild.
The moment that it fell too was so precise of what you were talking about that like for it to happen then was so strange.
Yeah, like what is the coincidence there? I don't think it is. I think
it wasn't in the middle of the stream. It wasn't in the beginning. It was literally when I had completed the story and off it fell. Yeah. It's very strange.
Your reaction to it was hilarious. What? Do you see Bigfoot?
What, Bigfoot?
I didn't realize you said that till after I made the clip, and I was like,
yeah,
oh
it
God,
killed me.
hilarious.
I was like, what?
Yeah, but it's so true. Like how do you because we talked about attachments and can you be oppressed? Can you be possessed? And it's like I have a hard time believing that all these people are oppressed and all these people have an attachment. And then something like that happened. And I didn't know what to think about it. I'll be honest. It kind of threw me for a mental loop a little bit where I went, is this a sign that I'm supposed to get back into paranormal investigating?
100% is. Right. It 100% is. It always is.
Trevor, do you want to allude into our upcoming video here? Because we may have an attachment from it, to be honest.
I mean, probably.
So okay. I'll start off. So last weekend, we were working on the video all night, this one night, and I ended up having a really weird situation where I almost passed out on the way home. But as I was laying down in bed, getting ready to go to sleep that night,
it gets weirder.
I
my hair
was laying there with my eyes open. And I kind of went into this weird, like, trance state, like the in between asleep and awake, right?
Okay,
Almost
so
like
like your waves are changing. Okay.
Yeah, almost like a sleep
right before
paralysis type
REM
moment.
Okay.
And I could see with my own eyes, wide open, I could see basically the graveyard that we were at, that we filmed this video that we have upcoming.
It's very distinct too.
And it's very distinct. The way the trees are, it's like you're
on
almost
a
in the
river.
woods, but it's like a well-kept cemetery. And it's
You
on
had
the
already been
river.
there, or you had not been there?
We've
He
already
had been there once
You had been there.
before.
I wasn't sure if you
I've
were
been there
like
3 times.
you were pre-dreaming, you know, like pre-thinking, you know, like that kind of thing.
No,
But okay.
this was all after.
This was after the his third time being there, and my first investigation there.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was like really recent. This was last weekend. We were there 5 weeks ago. So it's been some time, and I haven't had anything related to this cemetery up until this moment. It could have been because of us working on the video and the images being burned in my mind, but I really don't think so because of what happened. So I'm having this vision, and I'm seeing the trees, and I'm seeing the graves, and I can consciously tell where I am at. And all of a sudden, peering from the darkness in this vision is like some type of creature. He has no eyes. His mouth is enlarged. It's kind of like black, and it's kind of draping of like, I don't know. It's just like some type of weird look. And he has no hands. His hands are like straight, but they're like stringly. And he's like in this position, like he's crouching towards me and like coming towards me. And as soon as I noticed him consciously, in my mind, I said, "Who are you?" And when I did that, the visions disappeared. And I told Trevor about this, and he goes, "That's fucking weird because I had almost the same exact dream last night." And he didn't tell me that he had a dream. I just said, and I rarely ever can remember like visually my dreams.
Same.
So for me to actually be like, to have a conscious vision to where I remember everything, like I can picture the exact vision in my mind right now.
Yeah.
Like I can close my eyes and see it completely. And for him to have, basically, he'll explain his dream, but it's like so similar.
It's so fucking weird.
Weird as fuck.
So after Riley calls me and he's like, "Dude, I almost died yesterday." I was like, "What?" And he's like, "I almost passed out on the way home." Like, yeah, we were editing really late, but it was just really weird. And then he goes, "But the weird part was my dream, right?" And I was like, "All right, yeah, tell me about it." So he tells that story. And then I'm like, oh my God. I wasn't going to say anything because I have like nightmares and night terrors sometimes. They're just weird dreams.
Sure.
Well,
and those will rock you.
Yeah, I also had a very similar dream where we were in the investigation, and like it was before some other things happened later in the night, but it was real dark. I could see into the tree line, and I could just hear movement, and it was zipping through real quick. And every time I would see it in like a moonlight glimpse or like catch it in a flashlight, it was exactly what Riley described, like long, lanky, like gangly, like just dark. Like you could make out like a facial structure, but not what it was or what. Like I would probably have to say, to me it looked like a dog or canine to me.
Sure.
But it was like, what the fuck am I looking at? Like, if
but
I
humanoid.
Yeah, so like like the top half was long and like, you know, like it looked like arms and shoulders, like how a person would have, and then like a head, but like an elongated canine face. But then the bottom half had almost like canine like hips with like legs that were like canine like. And it was like, what the fuck are we seeing? And in the video that we were at we already said it. It was a Native American burial ground where we were. So it's like, I wonder.
So there's all kinds of mojo floating around.
Yeah, I was like, I almost wonder if we were seeing something that's more like native, like than anything,
I mean,
or like a nasty spirit. Yeah, or it's like I guess I couldn't put it past it because like fuck, I don't know how to explain this, that us having the same dream like that at all.
So do you guys think then that this was, how can I explain that? Like, because you mentioned an attachment. Do you think that an attachment that you may had was a catalyst to make this thing bounce?
Maybe.
Or do you think that they're not related?
I think whatever we experienced that night at the Indian burial ground was what was in my dream.
Yeah.
Okay.
Think
I understand.
I don't know
Almost
if
to
it's
me, it seems like a
attached to us.
subconscious burial of like something that we probably may have seen. But it's hard to say.
Right.
It is because like we had some really awesome paranormal encounters. I don't know if Trevor wants to pull up maybe a clip and we can tease this burial ground a little bit, but I don't want to say it's an attachment. I want to say it was more of a warning of don't come back here.
Right. A deterrent.
Because I'm going to show you something that you don't want to see.
Right.
I think it was making its presence known, saying, hey, you've been here multiple times and I don't like that you've been here.
You're exploiting us is kind of the vibe that maybe they're getting.
Maybe because like I alluded to you in the beginning before we went live about this place is some terrible things happened on this land potentially.
Right.
So who really knows like what really could be there, because it's more than just a cemetery, really.
Mm-hmm.
Because of all of the native like lore that's behind it. Like, for instance, a tribe there lined the rivers with its enemy skulls after victory. So that's just one thing that's like
of many.
Yeah. Like right. It's tricky because they different cultures handle things very differently. Some are more violent, some are a little bit more bravado when it comes to this is what we will do to you if you come down here.
There's still that tribe in the I think it's the Pacific somewhere that is like never been touched by man still basically, and the people that have
the one that they went over
the
top.
And they've been like shot at with arrows and like
the guy
3
who
people
went there
got
and got killed.
Yep.
It's like that's still a thing. So like I could only imagine what it was like back then, where it was like, oh, I don't know, you fuck off there, bud. I don't have any laws.
And there's no rules. No rules at all.
Mm-hmm.
That's so interesting. I think I've personally always been a little timid about Indian burial grounds because I think it's different mojo. It's totally different. It's not someone died and then they went here, or it's a ghost that's imitating some sort of demon devil because they don't want people there or whatever.
Right.
It's different. Like it's they don't hold on to the same kind of morals as a normal set of spook specters or ghosts would.
We're also talking a burial ground that's been around since the 1700s. So like that's like 300 years ago of history that's happened on this land. Like I said, it's more than just an Indian burial ground. It was potentially a place where a lot of terrible things happened, and people didn't just put their life to end there. They ended other people's lives there. Like there could have
not
been
only that, like there was a lot of
everything.
veterans buried there too. From
So
what
they
we're
had
noticing.
So they were they on top of those? Like they just sunk them in the middle?
I think it's like I think it's like a good old spattering.
It's like your typical cemetery. There's a historical end and then there's a modern end.
Right.
We
they filled up
investigated the historical end.
Yeah, we
stuck the modern
real close to the very old side of everything.
Because we don't want to intrude on people's families who may still be alive. Like we were talking to people, that were alive in the we're trying to communicate with spirits that are from like the 1800s.
There were a lot of children's graves. Like because
Spanish flu.
Like I was just gonna say a lot of illnesses back then.
Yeah. Because that's where I mentioned the old Pioneer Cemetery. That was one of our favorites because no one was up there visiting graves. These graves are long gone. Nobody knows that they're up there. But that was the big pandemic that came through, was the Spanish flu. So it was lots of women and children, to be honest. It's sad. But those were the ones that if you brought some sort of object, we usually brought like Necco wafers or like a teddy bear or something that would have been around that they would recognize.
Right. Yeah.
And we would usually get, it was always just EMF. We never got any sort of like full body apparitions or anything, but
that's the holy grail though.
Yeah.
Like I'm as much as we want it to happen every time, that's the holy grail of everything. Because
you get the most excited. You're like, something's talking to us.
Like, holy fuck.
Oh my God. That happened so speaking of ghosts and things. So I work at a funeral home. I work at, I believe, potentially the oldest funeral home here in Columbus.
That's awesome.
And the building is predates, Lincoln. It was here when Lincoln went through and everything.
Yep.
And so the restrooms in this building, when you go into the main funeral home, it's old school. Women are completely separate in the front powder room. Men are all the way in the back of the building. Like, that's how it works.
The good old powder room too.
They have they have a powder room, and then they have the water closet that's in there. Well, when you walk in, I remember I walked in and I thought there was a full-on cloud in the middle of the room. And I don't mean like, oh, do I have some grease in my eyes? I mean like a full-on cloud hanging out in the middle of the room.
Like a makeup cloud, potentially.
Perfume.
Nobody is in. This is there's no services. There's nothing. This is the middle of.
Nobody was hitting a ciggy in there. Just like,
no.
Hey, what's up?
The general, like, people can't. This is just a couple people that come in here. And because all the people that work with the humans, they stay up in the upper area. Yeah. So you really have a receptionist that goes in there. You maybe have someone that comes up from our place that doesn't have a restroom, and you might have a driver that comes in there. But the drivers are all male, so it's not a driver.
Yeah, I doubt that.
And it wasn't in the bathroom. It was over in where there's just a mirror and a sitting area where they would have had a powder room. And I thought, and I was like, okay, I'll be back. So
whoa.
I waited, and I came in on another totally different day, and I brought my equipment with me.
Yep.
And I was like, hopefully, I'm like, I'm not recording anything, so I can't get in trouble. And I just went in there and I sat in the chair across from where I saw this misty cloud looking thing. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to talk to you. Like, I sat down, took out my recorder, and took out my EMF. And it took a little while.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the EMF started responding, basic questions. Is there a woman in here? Are you here?
That's crazy.
Did you die? And all of a sudden it started going zzz, zzz, and it was like, okay, it's haunted. I'll be back. And I'm like, I would love, like, it's weird things like that you're like, how many people have been in this room from the 1850s until now? How much sadness, how much sorrow, how much everything. This is where the ladies would come and fix their hair and fix their dresses and everything. It's still the same room. And I know that there's something in there, but you don't feel good about it until the EMF moves. And then you're like, oh, yep, there's something there.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. And I would love to get permission to go there to do an investigation, but I don't think that they'll let me do that. But
sticklers.
Well, because the name can't be on it because it's such a very prominent name, and I would understand. families are like, so you're letting
I understand
hunters
too.
come in here.
It just sucks.
But it sucks because that there's stuff there. Yeah, like
just let me do it for my own personal
thing.
It's like having a spank bank.
I will
keep that in the side
for paranormal investigators. That's what it is. You're like, oh baby, let's get something.
Here we go.
Talking to chicks in the bathroom.
I'm gonna.
But then I started asking around, because then I'm like, I can't be the only person who has ran into something in this building from 1855, the building's
right.
Before
yeah.
that, and sure enough, like, little stories here and there start popping up. And I was like, oh, dang it. Now I need to start investigating.
Now I'm obligated
because people want to know. And I work with a couple people that are into, I don't know if they'd go on an actual investigation, but they're curious, I'm like, okay.
I call them paracurious.
Paracurious.
Yeah.
It's like
that
they just
sounds kind of naughty. Yeah.
They just dabble.
I'm kind of like paracurious. And then there's some of us that are just like,
what else do you want to call them? Like
I like it though.
I was gonna say, to me it just seems fun.
Well, because you get people, it's like the first time that they come face to face with something that is like a full on,
it's either
growl,
like fuck yeah or fuck no.
Right. Well, how are you going to respond? Are you going to run screaming from the building, or are you going to hold your ground and just try and talk? Like, it's so you never know where you're going to fall in that.
I'm definitely not a runner. I will run to it before I run away from it.
There's two logistic times where I was like, I might actually scared poop my pants. Like I might. Like it did. I'm clenching. I'm scared, but I'm gonna like buck up and do it. But then other times it's like, okay, like this is nothing. Like this is exactly where I want to be.
I think I've probably only booked it maybe once, and it was because of the noise, not because of like a ghost. It was like something slammed in the room. I'm sure it just fell over or whatever, and that's all it took for me was to boing, I was gone. Like I looked like a little kid running out of the room.
I think me and Riley's track record, honestly, for like odd noises that were loud enough to be like audible things happening or moving or getting slammed has been like 3 for we're going after it instead of running away. Like we've gotten up and been like, gotta find it.
The one moment that like comes to my mind is when we were at Eloise Asylum and we were sitting with some other lady in the cafeteria area.
Exactly.
And we asked for the spirits to make a noise for us if they were with us, and there was a loud.
Oh yeah.
And we didn't run or anything. We literally got up and started looking around to see what
we got yelled at because we went into an area we weren't supposed to go in because we were looking for handprints.
Way to go.
We were like, they hit this though. It's dusty.
I see it right here.
I need to find proof.
We actually never found a reasonable explanation of what made that noise.
I think if I did it now in my elder years, when I started it,
don't even.
When I go, because I started it, I probably was 08, so I would have been like 25, 24, and
back when they still used the 90s filters.
Yeah, I still use the 90s filters, and now I'm a different person. I don't slam noise. I don't even like it if somebody in the house slams something. Like I get mad. There's no reason for the noise or extra noise. I'm an old.
I don't live in a barn. You turn the lights off. You don't slam my doors.
What's all the noise? Yeah, like that's me. So I think I would handle it a little better. And I'm not a parent. Like I don't have any 2-legged kids running around, so it's not like I'm yelling at people.
Yeah, the 4-legged ones can be just as bad, though. I'm not gonna lie.
That's how I am, and I have a feeling if I go now and something like that happens, I'll be like, "Don't you slam the door at me! You get in here. We're gonna talk."
You get the spray bottle, start spraying it.
The one thing that I want to happen that's never happened to us on an investigation. It's happened to me in person, like by myself, but I want it to happen when I'm actually paranormal investigating, not just like hanging out in my house. And then,
I know what you're gonna say,
right? And nobody's around.
I want to hear a disembodied voice and actually capture it, like to where I hear it and then it's on camera too, not just like an EVP, but like an actual voice. I've had it happen in real life at my parents' house. I was hanging out in their living room, no TVs on or anything. I heard a couple arguing in my parents' bedroom. Went to go check it out, thinking that there was a TV on or something.
Right. No you go TV. In there. You guys need therapy.
Yeah. I'm home alone. There's nobody in there. And I'm like, what the frick just happened?
The hell?
My dog even reacted to it. So like, I know it wasn't
when
just
the pets
me.
react.
Yeah.
That's the sketchiest part. Because you're like, that's validation. Fuck.
Because I'm like, in my mind, I made it up. But when 2 of my cats are looking at the ceiling, I'm like, no. You go do that downstairs. You do that in the other room, not above my chair that I sit at every single night to eat my dinner.
Yeah.
Now see, but disembodied voices, those are scary too, because you kind of have to check like your mental self for a second and like,
am I just hearing this?
Because we listen to so much. We listen to computers, we listen to phones, we listen to could it just be some sort of residual thing happening? But it's so different when it happens because it
is.
It's so weird because and it always happens, of course, when there's nothing running. There's no recorder running.
Oh God, we had one of the craziest like disembodied. Well, it wasn't disembodied voice, but one of the craziest things happened at our Double J investigation when we weren't recording. We were fucking around when we were done, basically, and we were just like, "All right, walk towards these neon lights and the what do you call it? Like the little Western town they have." Yeah, and we're like, we're doing it. We're like, this is gonna look so fucking cool.
Yeah,
we get
we're
back
like, this
over
could be
there.
A sick outro. Like,
yep. We hit stop on the recorder. We start watching it back on my phone. All of a sudden, we hear these fucking like it's like the metal framed like glass doors like like somebody was like trying to like break in or out of them, and we were like, What?
We were like,
hell?
oh, we must not be the only ones in the back 40. And then we literally went and checked every single door, and they were all locked.
Morning too. and
like, who's here?
The Double J is like 800 acres. And it was out of season for them too, so there really wasn't a ton of people around.
Right. And if there was somebody there, they probably aren't there to be your friend.
No, and it was like super sketch because like we checked every door. I'm not even joking. We went to every door and tried to open them, all locked. Nobody's around. The moonlight's illuminating everything. It's fucking cold out at this
We were even
point.
shining a flashlight into the buildings. Like, is there anyone in there? And
that one had me going like, where I was like, what's gonna happen now?
Yeah, because those noises, like I can't handle those. Those ones drive me crazy. And then it's like where you're, because inevitably, if you're an investigator, you spend a lot of time in the dark. You know, you're used to seeing. Yeah. It's almost like your eyes work a little better than the average creep because
I'm fucking blind. So,
well, maybe not you because you could burn ants with those things.
Deer hunted
but
for
you know what I mean.
I see well in the dark.
You're not wrong.
So if you look, and I hate it when your eyes, when you look and you're like, I can see an outline of a person.
Yeah.
In a room that's half lit, you're like, I can see a legit shoulder head of somebody standing in that general direction.
And you want to doubt yourself too when you see this stuff, you know, like, is your mind matrixing
is it literally like the paradoxical matrixing bullshit?
And then I started reading about shadow people, and now I can't.
No, that's real. The shadow people are real.
Shadow people are definitely real.
But I think what it is. Do I have one in my house? You know, like, or wherever you are. Usually, I saw one here in my bedroom.
You know, like how, like, we're at this point in our lives in human history to where we actually know what we look like all of the time. But if we go back in history, like before mirrors were a thing, they didn't know what they looked like.
Unless you were rich, you did not.
So like if you were going to manifest yourself, what are you going to manifest yourself as? You're going to manifest yourself as an outline of a person because you don't know what you actually look like.
Yeah.
Because you don't remember what you looked like.
Well, he needs to go walk down the hall and look at himself in my mirror and then figure out who he wants to be, because the black figure shadow thing is scary.
Okay, hear me out. So think about memory in terms of like how you don't remember when you were probably, say, 5. Like it's hard to remember shit like that.
Right.
So say that So say that these shadow people, like how Riley was just saying, like, what if they just literally can't remember a single thing? So it's not even like that they're malevolent or they're bad or good or anything, but they're just there, and that's what we're seing, because it's like they're just wandering spirits.
They knew what their shadow looked like.
Yeah, and they just go. They're just not sentient, but brain fart, like wanders. I don't know, like what
That's
do you call
good.
it?
I'm picking up what you're putting down. I know what you mean.
I went complete numb brain. I don't know.
It happens.
Words.
That's what happens when you're trying to think back too far.
English dictionary. Word.
Yeah, if Trevor can't remember words, how is a spirit from 1700 supposed to remember what they look like?
Supposed to know what he looks like.
Shit.
And that part too is, you know, you read about what they look like, how they can be possibly coming through. And it's like, but what made you show up here at this time? You know, just standing there, not moving. Like, it'd be one thing if you were getting a glass of water.
Sometimes not coincidence. I don't know. That's the hardest question to answer.
And that's why that's of all the times of all the research and I mean hours and hours, those are the things where it's like, if I can't even articulate what I want to say, you know, how is it that somebody else is going to understand what a ghost is? You know, how am I going to prove it to somebody?
Think about how frustrating it must be for them to like harvest all this energy and then manifest it into something for you. And, you know, like as paranormal investigators, the entire time we're saying, use our energy. But
I don't say that. You stay away from me.
My energy is your energy.
Yeah,
you use that camera over there.
I chose this
paranormal investigating thing wrong because we're always just like inviting them to like.
I'm like, come give me a hug.
Now hold on. So you wonder, you do this. This is your way. You say, use me, and then you wonder why you're imagining black humanoid demons.
Oh wait, but then you go, can't follow me home.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because they're gonna listen.
Stay here. Stay here.
No takesy backsies. You stay there. You know,
I'm putting up my force field.
You've already let them in. And
mean,
that's like, I want them to. You have to be able to use something else. I do like these like little energy pods or like the little power pods and things.
We call them pee-pee pumps.
You do not.
We do too.
Of course you do.
Go bump.
That's your second junk joke tonight.
I get 3 and I'm done.
You get 3 and you're done. First was your little pink keyboard, and now there's that one.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and like what
I
Mr.
think
Dog's
those are
saying
good
in the chat, like people want to say that like sage and everything will cleanse. I don't believe that whatsoever.
It's so hard.
I don't believe that whatsoever.
It's
Actually,
so
if you
hard
look
to
into a
believe
lot
it,
of
but-
native like cultures, even they don't use sage to ward off spirits. They use it to invite them. So
No, it's witch hazel.
It's counterintuitive. Well, then I'll grab my facial toner and be like, "Here's some witch table. Give me witch hazel. Get away
Witch
from
table?
me. Witch table.
Witch table.
Witch hazel. Get away
My
from me.
table in the kitchen is a witch table.
Not this house. You keep that out of here.
That's awesome.
But I hope that now this is 2023. Like, how come we can't make some sort of device that create, like, you have something this big and it's just full of like a battery instead of sucking all of our
Ghostbusters does
our
that
cameras.
shit.
It's like, come on.
So I've noticed gosh, what are those little balls that like have the
Exploring
electricity?
Harley, that episode,
Yeah.
he did a really good job showing it and doing show and tell. So like they're those like kinetic energy balls things that you put your hand on, and then like the
Phasma-
electricity.
What are they called? Plasma
Plasma
Oh,
balls?
yeah. They feel like static.
Yeah, you can
yeah.
do that, and then you can basically manipulate that energy and like send it wherever you want.
Yeah,
So
so
that
like
you can technically cheat like ghost hunting if you wanted to, but it also works in the way that you're saying, where it's like, well, if you're giving the spirits like say like a lightning rod and
Like something
they
to eat,
understand
you know,
to
like,
use it,
Here's an energy bar.
yeah, so like what
Have at it.
Exploring Harley did in that live stream is he took one of these plasma balls
and a REM pod, right?
in a REM pod and
Yep.
set it across his room, and he touched it and he went like this, and the REM pod went off every time he'd point to it.
Every time he'd point to it or touch it.
Point
I
to
thought they
it.
went off. If
Point
you
to it. So he would hold.
You got to be in the
he would hold
proximity
the
of it,
plasma
but
box, and then
he
he'd
was
point to
aiming
REM
the
pod,
energy
and he'd
basically.
shoot the
Oh, I
energy at
see.
the REM pod.
I understand now. Okay.
Yeah.
It was
It's on
really
our-
fucking
It's on our
wild,
TikTok if you want
actually.
to go check it
Interesting.
out.
Ooh, I gotta read about that. Thanks a
Yeah,
lot, guys.
science is fucking crazy.
It was a really cool experiment.
Just like, okay, so I will like give you this analysis too. So have you guys ever heard of the horns that will like be heard, say like in Canada and like in like the forest and like Alaska and shit, where it's just like people be in the middle of the forest, and then it'll just be like they'll say it's like the trumpets of God, like the Armageddon's horns, where it's just like ooh, and it's just in the like and nobody knows where it comes from.
And that's that's the tricky part too, is because there is so many, not to get too conspiracy, but there is so many places that the governments, not just ours, that they hide things in random places that you'll never ever see. And could this just be that people are picking this up? You know, like we don't know what's out there. There's so
and then you
many
wonder,
things
like,
that are
is
hidden.
this natural? Is this
right? Is it a ghost?
biological? Is this technical? Like, is this like, I don't know, fucking trains? And like, if you think about it, like if some of the track is just off, like it's gonna like grind all funny, and then does sound travel that far?
Way. Yeah. Well, and could these be horns that were from some sort of, you know, tribe that is like their war horns?
And then that's where I was gonna go with it, where it's like, what if it takes more of like a paranormal like thing, where it's like these are like the trumpets of war, where it's like these people that inhabited these lands were
some
like
battle was happening here.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's like I don't know much about Canadian history, to be honest, or like anything at all, to be honest, about Canada. And this is where a lot of those videos were coming from, like is like Nova Scotia and things like that. But it's real rural up there too, so it's like, I really wonder.
Yeah, and there's
like
nothing
I really
there.
wonder.
But you also don't know. Again, is there some sort of plant that's out there that somebody's building something?
It's space whales.
Mr. Dog is back.
Mr. Dog.
And is it? Yeah, there's so many ifs. If what, you know, like what could it possibly be?
Yeah.
But I would like to think that it is some sort of war horn you know, like this is something we're hearing from, you know, basically the Vikings of Canada, like that kind of thing.
I mean, fuck, I would believe that it would be like some like Vikings, like that would be crazy, like, especially with some of them that you hear. Is like
riding their
sometimes
dire
it
wolf or
sounds,
something, you know,
yeah,
like
sometimes it sounds like screams, other times it sounds like literal like horns, and it's like, this is so interesting.
Take Gettysburg, for instance, since we are so close to like the anniversary of the battles of Gettysburg, like right now in the next 2 weeks is Gettysburg's like historically most paranormal active time of the year.
Hold the
where
line.
people actually hear gunshots, they hear the cannon fires, they hear the Union and Confederate soldiers yelling
front line fire.
Yeah, like they hear
back
all
line
of this
reload.
stuff. And obviously anything that has to do with war, like there's so much energy, emotion,
so much going on. Yeah,
there's so many different like human connections and human energy and human life lost, like all of these terrible and things that just when they're combined are just like the perfect recipe for paranormal. So
it is.
It really is, though.
If you take
and that, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
we talk too much anyway.
If you
we're
take,
just like we're all
what
so
happened
excited
with any like native culture as well, like if they had war horns or you know war noises that they did
like,
when they went into battle, of course those
look
when
at the
you come
Haka
back
dance.
into that time, like you might hear those phantom noises because there's so much energy tied up into what happened on that specific day or time.
Yeah.
And I do think there is like there's a so to talk about something that I've investigated, but also that I'm going to do an episode about her. There was a murder that happened in Seattle, and it happened on the lake, and I found out when it had happened, and we actually went to investigate on the night that she was murdered.
Oh shit.
And not only did we get a lot,
it was a crazy night.
It was a crazy night.
I knew
nothing was happening until the sun went down and the approximate time of the murder would have taken place. We were standing in the exact spot because the detectives actually drew out where she was, and we got on our walkie-talkies. Oddly enough, we started getting a transatlantic accent. And a man says, like, you've got me in a rut. And it was like this crazy thing that started happening. And it just so happens it was on the exact same night, exact same time.
It's not a coincidence.
If we would have went there 2 nights before or 2 nights after,
probably
would we have
caught
caught this? Yeah. And it makes your skin crawl when you hear his voice, because you can just imagine he's deranged, and he probably his hair is probably fallen out of his perfectly coiffed, hairdo, and he's killed
Give me the coif.
This daughter/lover.
Yeah.
And it was this huge thing. And I guaranteed if we would have been on any other night, I don't think it would have been that way. We might have gotten some random stuff.
Yeah, that's how I feel like that's a lot of the times how we've caught a lot of our stuff too. Is like this Native American burial ground that we just investigated. It was one of the graves of one of the more, I want to say, important characters that is going to play a role in this video. Their birthday was in July, and it doesn't surprise me that it's almost July and here we are having connections with these people, and especially with what was said back and forth between us and them. And I'm convinced that we were speaking with somebody that night, like 100% convinced.
I'm 100% convinced that we were having direct line
multiple people too,
with multiple spirits.
That's just and that's it's hard to say. It's like when you know, but you get this like, if your spidey sense is tingling, there's a chance that it's right. Like you just know. Now, you guys said you had a clip of something.
Yeah, I think I have it pulled up.
Do you have one ready? Otherwise, I can find
for
one.
me. It shows that it's over here, and it's next to my name, but I don't know how to fucking pull it up.
Oh, I probably have to do it, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
Do it.
Okay, wait one. Oops.
Oopsie daisies.
Hold on. Oopsie daisies.
Technicals.
Yeah, now I gotta learn how to do this.
And to the listeners and the fans, the audio has not been mastered yet, and the video is still in its working stages. But this is a little clippy clip of the investigation that we just did at the Indian burial grounds. Riley is in front of a grave of a child, and we believe that we had just made contact with somebody and we were talking to them. And I hope this audio doesn't get fucked up or his sounds
turn
good.
this off so I can see it better. Now I'm creepy.
Yeah. So you'll see in the video, once I move around to the back side of him over here, something comes through the spirit box that's extremely clear, and I hope it does in the video, but here, I'll play it for you guys now.
There's no audio at all.
Is there not?
No.
Okay, hold on. I have an idea.
It's not something on my end, is it? Nope.
No, I think.
I forget. This happened when we had
no,
Brandon
I think I know what I have to do.
You had to change the speakers, I believe.
All right. Tell me if this works.
Nope.
Nope.
I don't know if I can hear you guys or not.
We can hear
hear
you.
me?
There's no audio.
Yeah.
There's no audio, Trevor.
Well, he took his headphones off.
There's no audio.
There you go.
There's no audio, Trevor. He can't hear us.
What did he do?
I had to fix my audio. Could
you
you guys hear it after that?
No.
I don't know. I put it so that all the settings were on through the thing that all the audio is playing through. That's weird. I don't get it because it's playing. Everything's set up so it goes through that speaker. I don't know. Riley, your turn.
All right, I'll see if I can find that clip.
Oop, we'll go back to here. There we go.
Yeah, I don't know. That's weird. Usually it just plays the audio off of the second screen. But
while you guys look for the clip, have you guys ever gone like, this is going to sound strange, but like looked for aliens at night, like that kind of thing?
Yes and no. Like not in long spurts because I don't know if I can handle it because I have like ADHD brain. But yes, I definitely will like catch myself like staring up into the night sky a lot. But there's also a lot of light pollution around where we live, so it sucks.
Right, and that's hard too. But I would love to get my hands on a parabolic microphone and like go out into like the northern Wisconsin or even northern Michigan, because that's like a straight shot up, and just see what I can find that's outside of the usual nature sounds. Because I've listened to a couple things, just what people pick up, and it's crazy. It's they will get random little
the
blips and bloops. Yeah,
like the weird shit.
Describe it. It is so strange. Or even like tones. You know, it's like space has a tone anyway, but it's different. It's like it almost sounds like an instrument. It's so weird. I've wondered about that, and then going like looking for things like, you know, you have like Bigfoot or cryptids that make
noise. Like think about this too. Dark matter makes up how much of the universe? A fucking ton. And it's much different than other different matter that we understand here on Earth. Well, who's to say that dark matter isn't the energy that is producing the energy for the spirits, or like you pass on and you become like energy in the eons of cosmos that are.
Right.
It's like, and I don't fucking know.
I found it so I was like dabbled into the alien subject until I really started reading about Barney and Betty Hill.
The coolest.
All right.
Did you find it yet?
I'm there. All right.
Don't mind me. I'm just joking.
I was going to say, the spit, wrong tube.
You have to click on my add-on there.
I hope you have audio, because damn it. Oh, it looks like shit. Okay, it looks better.
Is that good?
What the fuck is wrong with mine?
Mildred?
Oh, yeah. We hear it.
I'm so mad.
Okay.
It's really quiet.
It happened right there. I don't know if you could hear it or not.
Well, it's pretty quiet.
Here, I'm going to turn my volume up on my computer all the way. So
it'll be louder.
It'll be really loud.
All right.
Here we go.
Lord,
it's so pretty.
It's better.
Were you sick, Mildred?
I heard something. So that was across several channels.
Yeah, and it said, "I miss you, mommy." Because we've slowed it down in the like edited version of the video, and we've raised all the audio through our editing app and whatnot, and we've looked at the wavelengths, and there's a full-on sentence where it says, "I miss you, mommy."
It actually comes through twice, but we can't tell what the first word is.
Yeah, right before right when I'm at his back, it says something, and then I make it across, and it says that whole sentence.
That's great. And I've had several people ask me about the Ghost Box. I think that's what people are calling it now.
Yeah, S-Box, Ghost Box, same
thing. How it's all these different channels. It's impossible to get the same voice across all these different channels.
It should be.
You know,
it definitely should be.
It should be. And I even have like an old where you used to take like one of the first things before that was a thing. You went to the Radio Shack, you got one of their radios that could stand.
The hack boxes is what Danny calls them.
I love mine, my Radio Shack hack. I like it because nothing can input it, like it's literally just a radio.
Yeah.
But it's same thing. You would get this going across, and you would have voices that came all the way across.
See, and we use AM too to avoid catching more radio, because you do catch a lot more radio on FM.
On FM,
AM waves, and late at night, there's typically barely anything happening on.
You
AM.
might get like this sound of like gospel, like every now and again.
You'll get a random one. Exactly, and usually you're investigating. Late at night. And I thought that was so interesting. Like the first couple times that we heard our names.
Oh yeah, that one got me when I started hearing like full words
on the radio.
For the first time.
Nobody says Noel on the radio unless it's Christmas. So it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And the only time they say that, it's being sung.
I like Noel. As like being a realist too. I was like, when we first got those things, I was like, they're fucking bullshit. Like there's no fucking truths to this at all. Like how like there's no way in hell that we're ever gonna catch.
Can't control it.
So I just edited another video. Trevor will like this one. So we've talked about this many times. We've talked about our light up duck.
The light up duck. Oh, I love this video.
That video.
It's super fucking dark because we went 0 dark 30, but it's right in the middle of the screen.
You'll see it when it lights up.
Oh, no way. No way. Oh my God. Thank you.
Bring it. I'll get you some.
Whoa.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
But the K2's not budging?
Okay. Yeah. K2 isn't taking it off. The duck is going off.
We literally bought that on a whim, too.
Yeah.
We'll grab your cup and bring it.
Yeah, it was.
And it's not hard to push either.
Oh my gosh, we're doing it again.
It went off again.
So what makes it actuate?
A click. It's got a clicky button, like a tactile button.
You can throw it against the wall, it won't go off. You have to touch the button.
Oh, I don't
have it with me.
I could try
it. That was like one of the most wild experiences too, because we were with probably 15, 16, maybe even more than that. And we were just standing in a circle with the EMF detector right there. And we were like, can you make the duck go off? And it was like,
this is one of those ducks. So watch. Hitting on my hand.
It's the exact same duck because we bought a bunch of them.
Same one. You have to push this button right here.
Yep. And it was sitting
right
away from everybody.
Head. You have to touch it. Otherwise, it will not go off.
Yep.
Huh. Okay. And where was this?
Eloise Asylum.
So it was.
You guys are inside?
Yep. It was
we're
a
on the
7th
3rd floor.
floor mental institution.
4th floor mental
I
institution.
thought it was. Oh, I'm fucking retarded. Yeah, no, there was
It's
a
on a
basement
floor.
and tunnels. That's why.
We were on the 4th floor.
Yep.
Where the psychiatric ward was for like patients with Alzheimer's and dementia and things like that.
Wow. I think those are some of the places you really get.
Yeah, some of the
First
best.
of all, you get certain sort of feeling just when you
Yeah.
see it, especially if the building, the structure itself is still there. And you need pauldrons like on both sides.
Oh,
And
dude, we need to get leather coats with ducks.
with duck pauldrons on them. I think that's
now we're battling freaking Project Fear because they do the whole rubber duck thing.
No, we started that shit.
We started it.
We started that shit.
it?
We did that a whole 2 years ago before they ever decided to come back.
It's so hard to keep up with the shows because then you see somebody that does it and you're like, wait a minute, I've been doing that for 10 years, but you can't say it because
I've been saying to Riley a lot lately where it's like, let's just watch some other people's videos that make spooky content like we do, and then like let's just draw ideas from it because realistically we all do the exact same thing. Right. It's the same exact I can't talk tonight. Cookie cutter like formula. It's just how do you want your cookie cooked? It's just a little different.
Right. Exactly. Because they're all going to use similar objects. You can only have so many types of equipment and so many types of this. I think even like Ghost Adventures had this guy making equipment for him for a long time.
Yeah.
He was the one that had the daughter that died.
Bill Chappell. No,
not him. This is somebody else.
Oh.
The young guy. He had black hair.
Oh,
he was the one that had the daughter that died in the car accident.
Was that Nick Groff?
No, he was the original. He was but you know who I'm talking about. But yes, Chappell made all these like really kind of out there things. Like you can tell he was really an experiment brain.
Extremely smart guy, but like eccentric.
I literally watched the first episode where he debuted the SLS last night, and it's so crazy.
Massive now.
It's like an Xbox on top of it. It's so bad.
Just look at what happened when they got money and he was able to actually like fabricate things. It's like that really looks a lot better.
Looks a lot better. Yeah, and now they're walking around with like a vest and it's on like a handheld.
Oh god, situation. I want to get a tactical vest after watching all of them walk around, just like everything right there. Like I got it. Where it's like, dude, I have to go get in my backpack and drop everything. Basically, I'm done with that.
So before the tactical vest, my first vest I ever had was a fishing vest.
That's the way to go.
It's the same thing.
I got it from like Cabela's or something.
It's the same thing.
But it's like fisherman brown.
Who says you have to wear high fashion when you ghost hunt? Yeah, who says?
But it has all the pockets, and it has wider on the up here. Oh come on.
You give me like some kooky outfit. I don't care. I'll even wear like what if we get to do the next place that me and Riley hopefully get to go do before the big investigation after this. If homie calls us back, I'm gonna go get like a straight up like World War II jacket and shit.
Make sure
I'm full on gonna like I'm gonna go like I know one of my buddy's dads has like an actual helmet from the war. And I don't know if he has like a replica M1 Garand or something, but I'm gonna be like, yo, let's like 100%.
So are you trying to be a trigger object? Is that what you're going for?
I want to be the lightning rod, and not only will it look cool for videos, but I think that it would be fucking awesome.
If you're looking for a gimmick,
I would say like to go sit in one of the gun turrets or something on this ship that we have here, and be like. Like I look cool.
Well, and that's I think like military vessels are so cool. Like now granted, I know I was military, so I'm kind of a dig it. But I think even if you're on new ones, you get a vibe. There are some areas of the ship where you're like, it's like
look at what they push you guys to. Look at how hard basic training is. I mean, it's not for the weak. It's not.
The weak get sorted out real fast.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they have like the tests that they do to make sure that mentally, physically, everything you're adept and like you are going to do what you were meant to do for them, and they want to make sure you're running at top notch.
Well, we try and run a top notch.
Try.
But you also take that, and now you take us away from our families, away from our wives, kids, brothers,
and then
sisters. Your brother's already
you.
been killed, and now you're expected to still function at this level. And you have people that end their life. You have some people that a mistake happens and somebody dies on board. Now it doesn't happen all the time, but it does. Or when you step onto these old military like carriers, or destroyers. I mean, because I've only been on Navy. I've never been on any sort of cool, Army, land
I really want to
tank or
explore
anything.
Pearl Harbor.
But I see. I can't. I want to, but I'm just gonna cry.
That would be too much. Yeah,
I can't investigate.
To me, that would just be like, this is
I'm super
amazing.
patriotic, and I was Navy, so I would just be the whole time.
I completely understand.
But the history there.
I know,
Like,
it's
about,
so crazy.
Standing on,
it was such a pivotal point in history.
They heard knocking forever. Like it was. It just makes me sick thinking about it.
I know. Well, and then the fact that you can go out on the water and then go over the wreckage of these ships and like
you can see where the oil's still coming out. Yeah, it's crazy.
Could you imagine if they let you like put on an air tank and then go down there and just like get close to the ships? Like that would be so insane.
Dude,
it'd be intense.
Yeah, it would. I bet you would feel that pressure just like wafting off of it.
That brings up an interesting theory. So our friend Hauntings with Hodge, he did a live stream once where he was talking about underwater hauntings. So like, could a spirit still be on a ship that sunk? And if you go down there and like scuba dive or something, could you still see that spirit on that ship?
Yeah, I think so because they don't know that they're in water,
right?
They're still trying to either button a hatch or they're throwing themselves. It's crazy because if it depends on, I guess, on the era, but they're like, so on most military vessels, there's like when you go through, there's an airlock hatch so that it can only go so high, and if you're on that side, nobody else can throw the hatch. Guess you're throwing the hatch and you're about to die.
Whoops.
Sorry, but that's how it goes. You're willing to risk. You're willing to do that. So that person that was on that side, they're still stuck down there. They died with that stress, drowning, but saying, "I'm gonna die, but 2,000 people are gonna live." Wow.
And how I don't even remember all the history now, but like, God, so many people were lost. Like, how many ships went down? Like 6.
But you have to remember, like they still don't know some of them, because if there were some where they got out, some of them had jumped overboard but still died. Some of them were still stuck inside. Like they'll never know. They just were missing in action.
More people have died in water than on land, most likely. Honestly, if you think about it, like all of the ships that have ever been sunk in, like Titanic, how many people died on the Titanic? Like
what, like 13?
Oh, don't even start talking about the Titanic, and we're gonna start talking about the Ocean Gate shit.
Wait, no. So I have something that's not Ocean Gate, but something that's interesting because I like curses and things like that. So I don't know if you already read on the internet. So the wife of the captain of that ill-fated vessel is the great-great-granddaughter of the couple that went down on the Titanic together.
I forgot about that. Yeah. That one blew my fucking brains back.
So her maiden name, she is the great-great-granddaughter of the who would they? I want to say he was like the creator of Macy's or something like that.
Yeah, it's on the manifest of the Titanic too.
Yeah, he was willing to put his. He got so excited. So when the ship was sinking, his wife could have been saved, and his wife said, "No, I'm staying with you," and they were seen on the ship together. And a wave took them over, and they died. One of the bodies was initially recovered, and then they did find the other one. I think they found the other one later. Turns out the great-great-granddaughter was Mrs. Rush.
That's insane.
Yeah.
What a connection.
Of all the people.
And now her husband is down there with the Titanic.
With them. Yep.
And her kid.
It's crazy.
Baby, superstition.
Did he have 2 kids down there, or was it just one?
I think it was just the one.
Just the one?
Yeah. So isn't that wild? I don't think that's come around anywhere. My husband keeps telling me I need to do an episode on it because I love Titanic, all things Titanic.
How?
That's
And
so insane.
yeah,
The
and
whole
I was like,
Titanic
"You shouldn't
story
just
is
leave it alone."
insane.
And
Like
that-
as like not love story as it was.
No,
like the
it's
bread and
ill-fated.
butter. Yeah, the
It
bread
was
and butter
ill-fated.
story
Well,
is crazy.
I honestly think the Titanic could have been cursed because they told the captain not to go there. They told the
Yeah.
captain to avoid that area, and he just totally didn't listen.
Not only did he not listen, he went full speed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Through that
he did
section.
completely opposite.
He
of what should have
said,
done.
I have
Yeah.
balls of steel.
Yeah,
And he's
no
not
brains.
the only boat captain to ever do that. There's been tons of boat captains that have put themselves ahead of everyone on their ship
Right.
plenty of times.
Yep, and all because he was trying to show that he was the best. Our ship can get there. We can do it. And he got everybody killed. So
Yeah. Well, have you heard the USS Indianapolis story?
not off the top of my head.
So they were the ones that delivered the nuclear bomb to one of the islands where it was loaded onto like either what was it? It was either for the Nagasaki bomb. I think it was that one. But
Big boy?
on their way back, because I think they brought like the uranium or the plutonium, whichever one it was, whatever you have to make a nuclear bomb with. But they actually got
Well, first
like,
you take it to pasta, and then you
then you
know.
take it to pasta. But like
And you get the Parmesan.
they basically like got sunk in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh, little boy. Yeah,
Yep,
so they
and
were
then-
they were bringing little boy over. I couldn't remember Big
Yep.
Boy or little boy.
And then after they got sunk, all of the crew members were just adrift in the Atlantic for like, oh god, like 4 weeks or something like that. And some of them actually survived. And it was like they had shark infested waters the whole time. Not only that, they were in like super toxic water basically because they didn't necessarily protect themselves to the
That whole
plutonium.
bomb
remember
almost
this
went
story.
terrible
It
for
was the
us.
lifeboats. They were
Yep.
in like little lifeboats.
Yeah.
Oh yes, now I remember. Okay,
The
I just
whole
had to
the whole like
back.
lead up to dropping that bomb was terrible. They almost
Mhm.
dropped the bomb on us.
Dude,
Ooh,
the
they
Manhattan
did-
story is crazy.
They did drop a bomb like just off the coast of Massachusetts, right? Like they dropped
Ugh.
one on accident. It just didn't.
They almost
Yeah.
blew up
Right?
Chicago because of
dead.
the Manhattan Project.
Yeah, so
They-
it's like
But it's like maybe this is a is this a sign? If all these things are going,
Mhm.
maybe you shouldn't be doing that.
Maybe. Well, Oppenheimer, after he created the bomb, he said, "Good Lord, what have I done?
What have I
should
done?"
Never done this."
Yep. He was a very twisted soul too. So it was.
I'm so excited for that movie.
Me too. Oh my god, I want to see it so bad.
I'm so excited for it. Like, can you just imagine like how eccentric that cast of people it had to have been back then? Like some of the stories were like some of these super, super smart people that were nuclear physicists were basically handed like as much money as they
Endless
could
money,
ever want.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like make it happen.
knowing
you
that
have
you're going to
6
kill
months.
millions. Of,
Yeah, whatever you want, make it happen. Okay,
Mhm.
cool.
So
So
I
like
think they
bring
just
in
had a lot of
whoever.
scientists that wanted to prove, like, use their noodle like to the highest
Yeah.
extent, and then it's like, well, yeah, you're going to be haunted for the rest of your life. Have
Well,
fun
and
with
like we knew too that all the other countries that were dealing with it, we thought Germany 100% was closer than we were. But little did we know that they just didn't have the same capabilities because they were at full war and on their soil too, basically. They're getting pushed back onto it. So it's like, yeah, I could see why America like was easily miles ahead of everybody else. Because Russia
Yeah.
realistically was like 10 years behind even like the Germans. The Germans were still
Oh,
like
yeah.
5 years behind.
They're still behind.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, don't even get me started on like, okay, so after they lose World War II and try to globally dominate the whole world, we just pay for them to like rebuild their whole country and fund them.
That was one of the big, like, so when I was learning, I had to learn about nuclear propulsion and things like that. And that was one of the biggest is we would then hear stories of the other countries. This isn't
Yeah.
classified. You can read about everything, about
Yeah.
their versions of trying to make a nuclear sub. And they did a movie about the one, I think it was it U-571 or something like that?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about
And,
too. I just don't remember the numbers.
Because they do things like the coolant, is like going through the reactor and then just coming out. Like, what are you doing? Like you're just swimming around in radioactive fluid. So but I wonder, like vessels like that, like how many vessels were there that had some ill-fated that are still hanging out in the middle of the ocean? Again,
There's
back to that,
literally
is the ocean haunted?
Yeah, there's literally active nuclear bombs in the ocean.
Ghost
Ones that they
ships.
dropped that didn't go off. Like
just
Fucking
hanging
ghost
out.
ships.
there's ready to ghost ships. Like people see those, like even in the Straits of Mackinac, like they see ghost ships up there.
Dude, there's been accounts of people boarding these ghost ships and there's no fucking people on it. Explain that. And then they get off of it and it's just nowhere to be found again. Is that
Like,
time
how?
slipping? Like, is that a ghost ship?
Oh, see, I don't those types of things I can just read.
Actually,
like,
rabbit
all day
holes are
long.
the fucking best.
We are a rabbit hole.
Yeah. You're speaking to 3 of the rabbit holes of the universe.
Conspiracies are there. Like some of my favorite movies, honestly, is like I think it's called Ghost Ship, where it
with Matthew Lillard.
I think that's what it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
like it's
terrifying.
it's cheesy, but it's like it's such a fucking cool concept.
No, I was thinking of 13 Ghosts. Ghost Ship is the other one.
That too.
What about ghost planes? There could be ghost planes too. Like,
dude, there could be like ghost McDonald's. I don't care.
Ghost
Like, if you're like
I've seen a
600 pounds,
McDonald's. It's no
You
longer
will die
there.
from that
you had
food.
cardiac arrest from eating all that salt. You
Ugh.
just like, I don't know, inhabit the McDonald's late at night. All of a sudden you hear Big Mac and fries, super size.
the hash slinging slasher.
That's the disembodied voice.
Yeah, exactly. And then you hear him go, "Help me in the bathroom."
There's a big mess in there.
Oh God.
Oh, hope it's a ghost one, because
Oh my God.
So if you guys have, because I know you guys have a couple investigations coming up here pretty soon.
Yes, ma'am.
Now it seems like you guys are kind of going back to back to back kind of thing, which is cool.
Trying to.
Do you have a holy grail?
Yeah, mine's Poveglia Island in Italy.
Gesundheit.
Gesundheit. Zazooza.
What's
Here, I'll pull up
what's
the
cool about
the
that
history
one?
on that.
So Poveglia Island is an island in Italy, and it's right outside of Venice. And so basically on this island, what they did during the plague is everyone that got the plague, they shipped them over to this island.
Yes, I've heard of this.
And basically forced them to live out their life there and burnt them on the island. It's said, I don't know if it's scientifically proven, but the percentage of the dirt on this island is actually human ash, because so many people were burned on this. It was like 100,000 people.
Yeah, it was a quarantine station at one point for the mentally ill.
It was
a nursing home facility
on there.
Yep, there was a nursing home for a while.
That's crazy. So that's in Italy?
Yes.
Off the coast?
Yep.
All right, Trevor, what about you? What's your holy grail?
Oh man, that's such a tough one. Honestly, I said it last week and I was like, just more thinking about it, I was like, this would be crazy, but like Pompeii. Like it's stuck in history because it was just encased in time.
Yeah.
Like, ooh.
Yeah,
I don't think you can go there though. Oh yeah, I was about to say
I don't think you can go on like close to like the Pompeii like structures and stuff because they're so fragile and they're super protected. But I could be wrong, to be honest too. I'm not sure anymore.
I think those big, catastrophic moments like that, even like talking about Pearl Harbor, it's catastrophic death. It's not like one big one that's something crazy, it's a lot.
I know. I have an epiphany because I want to go to Japan regardless. But like the tsunami that ravaged them and had the Fukushima Daiichi power plant reactor meltdown. But like nobody died because of the radiation. But like my theory is that the radiation in the water was pushed so far inland and like thousands of people died. Like I want to say like upwards of like almost 10,000 people died in the initial wave. And that's not even counting after the fact because everybody was displaced.
Cancer.
Well, there's
everything.
And there's no telling like what the repercussions are after the fact because they cleaned up, like who knows? People don't want to live there
still dealing with it.
Yeah.
Well, and the hard part is with a country like that, they are so guarded and protected. They will, if it puts any negativity of a light onto their people, they'll cover it up. They'll
Yeah.
kill people for that. They'll kill
Yeah.
a lot of people for that. So it's like you never really know just how bad it really was. Like
Yeah.
we will, but we won't. Like,
And not only that, like some of the stories of the people that were lost in the initial tsunami are crazy because they'll say they have people's spirits get into taxis and stuff that are soaking wet, and like 100%
oh,
are just people there, and they'll see, and
crazy.
they'll just like they'll have wet spots where people will be sitting and having dinner with their family members, and they'll just be gone the next second they look up, and it's like that's wild.
That's wild. That's like phantom phone calls. Have
Yep.
you guys heard about like they're like,
Mhm.
I just talked to Auntie,
Honey,
Gladys.
she died a month ago.
Or they're like, actually she died 12 hours ago. Like there's no physical way that you talked to her. She just died in
Oh,
a car
I
accident.
never heard
Yeah.
about that
Yeah.
before.
Like those have
It's like the
happened
premonition
before.
stuff, dude. It's
Mhm.
just like having a dream right before like something tragic
It's
happens of
crazy.
somebody
Yep.
that you probably wouldn't dream about.
I've
Trevor,
read
you actually have a
stories.
pretty weird story about that, about Violet seeing your mom.
Yeah, I have such a wild fucking dream about that. So it was like probably 4 months ago now or so. But Violet came up to me while I was sleeping one night and was standing next to our bed and didn't say one word to me. And I woke up and saw her and I got scared as shit. And I was like, what
Yeah.
the fuck, dude?
Children
Like,
of the
don't do
Corn. Oh my
that. Yeah, I
God.
was like, I almost smacked her because I was like, holy shit. And then I was like, oh, I'm sorry, like, honey. And she's crying. I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, I didn't mean to scare you. I was like, you scared me. I was like, good job. You scared me. But
Right?
then
Like, this is funny.
like a couple weeks went by and I had a dream and my mom passed away like 5 years ago now. So it's been a while. And like I'll dream about her sometimes. And it's always like pleasant dreams. But this one in particular was really odd because I was sleeping and I rolled over and Violet was standing there again, but I didn't scream this time. And when she went to talk to me, it was my mom's voice and it was my mom talking to me as Violet. And I was like,
You were dreaming or this really happened?
I was dreaming. But I don't know though, honestly, because like it was really vivid. Like I felt like it
Right.
was really happening.
Ooh,
And I
I
was
didn't like
like,
that. I got goosebumps.
I know, and I was like talking to her, I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I was like, why do you sound like that? And she's like, because I'm your mom. And I was like,
Oh,
what the
you're
fuck
like,
is
I need
happening? And I was
therapy.
like, but what about my daughter? What about Violet?
Yeah.
And she goes, like what you don't understand is like she's a piece of me. And it's like, what the fuck is happening?
Oh, that
and
had to
Violet
be.
and Violet too has 100% never met my mom, but has brought up the fact that she knows her. Like, Violet, come here. Come here. See that picture? Grab it. Go grab it.
Yeah, I know it's still a picture of Grandma.
Grab it. Can you get it? Yeah, you're close enough. Let me see it. So she has never seen this picture before. She walks up to me one day and she goes, say it.
Her name is Grandma Lori.
She said that exact phrase to me, and I said, "How the fuck do you know her name?" Like, there's no way.
Wow.
Yeah, and she just knew. Like, she's never met her. Can you go put that back up there?
Thank you.
Thanks, kiddo. Here, let me take that so you don't break it. Put it back up there. I'll give it back. Yeah, no, it was wild.
But kids are like, I think, they say that a lot. That kids can see
Mhm.
things, things that we don't. I think their brains haven't been so
It's
beat
okay.
down and altered yet.
Yeah. Well, not only
the walls
that,
aren't up.
she when she was being born, she had to be emergency C-sectioned out because she was upside down and she was
Oh, me
had
too.
a big motherfucking head too.
Good for
But
her.
when Jenna was like going through like labor and all that and she was trying to push, at one point she was so doped out of her mind because they went from like the gas to the epidural to like I don't even know what else of concoction they gave her to the point to where she was like,
Yeah.
get it out.
Poor
Get it
Lee.
out. It's like, oh my god. So she's like forgets to breathe for a second, and I guess she like in her head heard a voice that was like, you gotta keep breathing, like keep going. and she didn't know whose voice it was. Well, we were watching home videos one day to show her, videos of my mom, and she goes, "Holy shit, I heard your mom when I was giving birth." And I was like, "What?"
So she hadn't met your mom?
No.
No.
She came into the picture after my mom had died too. So not only did Violet come up to me and say that, Jenna had that exact experience, but it was my mom's voice. So neither of them have ever met my mom, but somehow they both have met my mom.
Can I interlude here, because we've had another experience revolving Trevor's mom. So I think it's like
the lady was a saint too.
Yeah, she was awesome. Isn't it like it's like the second or third episode we did has a weird glitch in it? It's the first episode. There's a super weird glitch, audio glitch in the episode.
I got him.
As Trevor is talking about his mom.
Yeah, and like we've never had it since, and it was like a 100% like the audio itself, like it didn't get corrupted. Nothing was wrong. Like it was all fine, but like it almost like makes like a weird sound that just shouldn't be there.
Right.
And it wasn't the mics or anything, and both of us were like, what?
Didn't do it the rest of the episode. Only the specific
only that
moment
exact
he was talking
specific
about his mom.
moment when I was like, yeah, like I miss my mom, like she passed away, yada yada yada. Told like a couple stories about her, and then it was just like we've just not in the moment, we didn't see anything wrong with the audio clip because we'll see it on Audacity on our screens, and it's like, yeah, everything looks fine, and we went listen to it back, and it was like, why right there did that happen? Like what?
But you got some mojo then.
Yeah,
you're like
100%.
I love you, Mom, but I need this. You're gonna help me document.
Yeah, I honestly think too, like after she passed away, like, and I went into like turtle hibernation mode.
Sure.
Like after like I came to terms with it, and I was like, I got like 21 beautiful years with my mom, and I can't take anything for granted. And I wish there was things that I could have changed back then, but there's nothing I can do about it now other than just reminisce on all the great times that we had together, because she 100% is like was
an angel,
a big fucking reason on who I am today because of it too. So I was like, I'm blessed.
Well, then like this could be, as aside from it is what we do collectively, I would take it as a sign, as like, okay, there's a hand over me.
Yeah, there's like the, Pink.
Yeah,
you got touched by an angel, kid.
You're good, kid. Just keep it going, keep her moving. Here you go. By the way, and I know your daughter. She's great.
Yeah, and it's like I almost wonder too, like because of the experiences that we've had to, like being closer to that spiritual veil, I guess that's the way that I always explain it to be, because it's just the easiest way for me to say it. Where it's like there's something here that we just can't see, that something permeates through is the best way that I can think of it as. And it might just be because like I've had near-death experiences myself, or like I've had, like extremely close, like completely life-changing events like that happen. And then like my mom had a stroke when she died too. So it was like
double whammy.
Yeah, so like I found her when she was having a stroke with my dad downstairs when it happened. And I was like, oh man, like this is jarring as shit. It's super traumatic. Well, the craziest part was a year to the day she passed away because of a second major stroke that did it. So it was like, is it always coincidental? Probably not. Like it's just like something seems more like it's like, hey, there's like
if it's that many things, it's hard to, it's not a coincidence, it's statistics. Like it's numbers. It's legit happened. If you walk out of the house and you hear a ding, well, that's not a coincidence. If you've heard it
it's
10
one
times.
in every like 2.3 million people get struck by lightning.
Right. Yeah.
I made that up on top of my head, but like it's stuff like that. What are you doing?
That's interesting though. Yeah, because they hear, so did your near-death experience, did that like happen before everything happened with your mom and everybody and the sightings, or did that kind of happen afterwards?
So there's been a couple.
Oh, he's been a couple.
So yeah, there's been a couple. One time
I asked because it might.
Yeah, one time it was while
sensitive.
before she had gotten like sick or anything. I almost gotten T-boned by a dude that was doing like, get that golf ball out of your mouth. Doing like 120 on a road that like, was like a 45, and I pulled out thinking I had plenty of room, and he came zipping up the other side and like lit his tires up trying to stop, and for like a good 130 feet slid. Yeah, and it was like, wow, like if you would have hit me, like everybody in my car and I would have died 100% because I was on the side that he would have hit. So I was like, that's
crazy.
yeah, and I had like that like slow down time moment where it was
Right,
just
like,
like where
yeah.
it's like because I drove a stick too, so I dropped it down a gear. I'm going to fucking kill you. And then I like stepped on it, almost went into the ditch. Yeah, and you're putting it in your mouth. All right, get out of here. Get out of here. I can only take so much of you. Eating a golf ball right in front of me, showing off. So like after like we like got done, I was like, oh my god, we almost died. Go play something else.
I was reading about near death experiences and how it's like if they seem to consistently see a white light. Like it's always white. It's not any other color. It's always white.
Well,
and
think
it's
about
like,
when you faint too. What do you see? It's
what
like
do you see?
the
It
white
goes
tunnel.
white. Yeah. So I'm like, well, what's going on here? Is it because you're losing oxygen, or is it because you're crossing to the other side? Just all these crazy things, like questions I have that I can't prove. I can't prove any of these things unless I hook a bunch of people up to saying like, okay, here we go. We're going to take you out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so hard to say too, because like the more times like I have like experiences where I feel like I would be closer to dying, it's like I can relate that back a lot to like passing out and that feeling of like everything just like goes blank and then you reboot and you come back to and you're like, is that what it feels like to just shut off?
I feel like it's got to be somewhat similar to that.
That's what I'm thinking too.
I feel like your brain is doing something similar.
It's like, punk.
Like it's trying to help itself, right? Like when you faint, it's because your body's trying to serve itself. So like when you're about to die, either your body realizes, it's time, or it's trying to like enter this like survival mode.
Right. Your brain's like, you don't need to see this.
You have the complete like, what do you call them though? Enigmas though, like the story that the kid got shot with a shotgun like 3 or 4 times at close range, like damn near blew his arm off, like shot him in the side of the head and his chest, and he should have died, but somehow
that story is amazing.
He crawled like out of like the back alleys onto the street and like lived, and then still to this day is like able to like walk and like do everything like a normal person would. And it's like any other person probably would have just died. I don't understand how you made it. Like it's crazy.
Well, and you meet, and that too, like with investigating the paranormal, you run across all these people that claim that they can see a ghost. They mediums. They can talk to the ghost. They can, whatever.
The schmediums.
There's the schmediums, and they haven't had any experiences like that. I'm sorry, but if you've almost died, when you reboot, you might get extra credit because your brain has now unlocked something.
Perception definitely changes after an experience like that.
Right.
Like I got my fucking when I got this done, I passed out when they were doing it because the needle got stuck, and I was just like, needles are bad. I like woke up and I was just like, I looked around and I was like, dude, I had a really crazy dream. Like I just passed out, and I was like,
because you did.
Oh fuck. And I was like, I had like that Inception feeling where it was like somebody took the camera and then pulled it back and it was just like frame. And I was like, oh shit.
Well, that I don't need to be passing out. I haven't passed out yet. I don't need a near death experience. So
no, I pray you don't either.
I can't say that I've ever actually had like a near death experience, but I have seen people die.
Yeah. I think once you get you're around it a lot too. Like so are you a mortician or
no? So I don't, it's a very strange thing. I don't work with humans. I work with pets. I work with animals.
So like, is that considered a mortician though?
We're not morticianing anything. We just cremate them. Yeah.
Yeah. But like pet spirits are still a thing.
Yeah. And it's so strange because I think that, there's pets, animals in themselves. They just have a different energy about them.
Totally
they don't have
vibe.
they don't have all the
blips
held a grudge, and it's very different. And I would hope that they would not get stuck here. But
I
you
have a
better
ghost
believe
cat.
Rainbow
I've seen a
Bridge.
ghost cat.
I would really
You've
hope
heard
they all
about
make
it.
it to the Rainbow Bridge. But then, like, I think they can choose to come back. That's my thing, where it's like, you made it there, you liked it, you played for a while, but you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna see what's on the other side. I'll be back later.
Yeah, I'll be back later.
My name's Sylvester. What are you
Yeah.
looking for?
See, the question that every paranormal investigator wants to know, and it seems like anytime you try to ask a spirit like what's keeping them, they can't explain it. So
Hey,
like,
what's the
I don't
deal
think they know.
here?
I think that's the problem. They don't know.
Yeah.
they don't know. So how
That's the hardest part.
like how like mentally, like how are we able to like put it into some type of description? Like what happens
Dude,
to you after
we-
death?
I think
Yeah.
we've all done a very good job tonight of trying to explain what is literally the hardest thing to explain.
It is.
Right.
It's like trying
Yeah.
to say like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious and then being like, no, that's an adjective and a verb.
And a verb.
And then
and a
explain
noun.
how it works like that. It's like, dude, I don't even know what the fuck you just said.
But I think that's why it's so important that if you are an investigator, that you approach it from a scientific side. Because
always go at it from real.
Real. Yeah. If you can't
Mm.
read it on a device, take a picture of it, record it on something, record a temperature,
Yeah.
you are cheapening all the other people.
You are always going to catch something when you want to.
Yeah.
I'm going to repeat myself there. You are always going to catch something when you want to.
Yes.
Because
And it's
you
all
will,
the people are, I feel this and I'm feeling this. And
yes,
I'm
you
like,
will just start
you may be
immediately just like
Yeah.
overstimulate yourself. And then you think anything and everything is
Yep.
whatever you want it to be.
Yep.
Yep.
And we'll never be in a sense where people take paranormal seriously until we take out that piece.
I think
of-
there's a 70% like credibility rate, no matter what. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
At this point where it's like, no, a lot of that shit,
sucks.
70% credible. But there's also the other percentage where it's like, you're kind of not making me feel great about this.
No. And you get I swear all the specialty people that you see TV shows that they bring in, they all have a very specific look about them.
Yeah.
You know, like
Ghost Adventures, all black hair, all black everything. It's all black.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
a very, very like distinct look. And
some
it's
higher level goths than others, but
Yep.
that's like they don't just get, and I can say that because I am like a baby goth. But
I was until I was like, look at how colorful I can be.
But right, I'm like, yeah, I'm like a bubble goth. I like
A bubble
colors.
I
I like pink and lavender and crazy, colors like that.
That's
but
the first
you
time I've ever heard that term.
You never get like them getting somebody on there that looks like they are a financial advisor.
No,
never. You never
no
get
business
somebody,
tie casual like
nothing.
Those
No.
people are never
indubitably.
they're never into the paranormal. I feel
No, they
like.
look like literally us. Like literally
Hey,
us. There is
Right, yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
Here I am, the corporate office worker,
right.
looking for paranormal on the weekends.
If I were to put on like my full work attire, I literally look like a redneck, like straight up steel-toed, like can't tell that I'm tatted up. Like
Yeah,
Right.
I'm the complete opposite. I'm all dressed up, all fancy, dress
Yep.
shoes, like all of
suit and
that.
tie.
So it's
Oh,
like
no,
I'm not that
I
far.
don't
Business
think anybody's
casual.
like
Business casual.
wear really distinctively shows who they are
Yeah.
all the time.
So actually that picture that you guys used for
Mhm.
for the interview when I was in the purple dress.
Yeah.
So that's when I went to an oddities an
Mhm.
expo. So like everybody there is dressed like we described, black
Yeah.
black with black. I was the only one in full lilac from head to toe.
So you were just
And
like sort of.
full 60s. Yeah, I was like, so what? And you better believe they gave me that look, like they didn't take me seriously, kind of like how we don't take them. And I was like,
She
I'm
dressed
probably
up,
you.
but not correctly.
Yeah, wrong colors.
Like
And
fuck
you better believe
Karen.
the first person that asked me, so what do you do? And I was like, I work at a funeral home. I'm probably more goth than
Oh.
everybody in here. Like, chillax.
Oh. So
But
you work with
it's
spirits?
right, and then you get asked that. Like, no, that's never mind.
Right. I always kind of thought that too. Like when me and Trevor started going live, I was like, what's the perception of us going to be? Because we kind of look like bros, you know, like I got the long hair.
Yeah, a little
and
bit.
Trevor's like always in a tank top. And, like,
showing off his muscles.
Not even. I was like, I paid a lot of money for these tattoos.
Yeah. I know when mine I'm doing a big Wisconsin wildflowers, and it's when it's done. Oh yeah, I'm gonna just always be in just tank top walking around.
I'll say spaghetti straps. Like I'm here for it.
Here I am with like a ghost tattoo. I got a UFO tattoo.
And you're like a business guy, so
Yeah.
I think that's great. I think that's I really want to. I'm thinking about a parent. So you have a paranormal tattoo? What about you, Trevor?
Yeah, I got.
Riley does.
It's all backwards, so it's
I
weird.
guess you could say I
Okay.
do
Ooh,
and
that's
I
cool.
don't.
So like
I-
a ghost holding a skull with graveyard.
I
in the
have
background.
a castle
naughty of you.
and a cloud behind my ear with a J. So it's not super paranormal, but we got it for like me and Jenna's wedding. But it was also like we want to do like kind of like horror themed,
Right.
but it's not super horror.
Hey, you got aliens on your arm?
I really want
mean-
an alien. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
You
definitely.
got UFOs on there,
I
dog?
was gonna say yeah, I got.
There you go.
I was say I guess this is actually a good point. Yeah, that's definitely a UFO and an alien.
I have
And
a
then-
big
Yeah.
UFO tattoo
All
on
that
my side
shit.
too.
I enjoy that like flip perception where you
Yeah.
get somebody in a full business attire, you know, and then all of a sudden you see them in something else and you're like, oh, you're one of us, you know.
I love when I tell people that like we play the high levels of hockey, and then I'll be like, "But check out my tattoos, Jesus Christ!" And it's like, "Oh, that's straight up anime." And it's like, "Yeah, konnichiwa, motherfucker."
And
Like if-
well, so aliens. That's what I was going to talk about.
Yeah,
I wanted to tell you. So, because you guys did a couple episodes about aliens.
done quite a few. We
Yeah.
talk about aliens quite often.
All the
You
time.
have a whole
Yeah.
series dedicated.
Well, I haven't
to it.
listened to all 150 episodes yet, but
No, it's just one of those topics where it's just like
Yeah.
aliens are fucking cool.
Yeah, any
and they're
of our
real.
episodes called the Black Vault Files. Those are
Yeah, those are all aliens.
those are aliens.
Yep.
So I enjoy reading kind of old Project Blue Book files and things like that. I like
Yeah.
the old stuff.
Then you would like the
and-
Black Vault Files for sure.
Yep,
And
we
so
crack into
I've-
those too.
I'll dig into those. And I have, when I started with Barney and Betty, because they
Yep.
were the first
Yeah, we
alien
covered
abduction
them.
publicized. And
Mhm.
I've known about them for a long time, but this was like my chance to really dig into the odds
Their
and ends of it.
story's so crazy.
It's crazy.
So crazy.
And I have when I remember I was reading through and I saw her interview. Now, did you guys learn about her earrings?
I remember hearing
been
about
a
something
while.
with her
So
earrings. I just don't
so
remember
that
any of
touched
it.
she
bases
talks
on the
about
story.
she talks about her dress. You know, she was wearing a very specific dress, which is crazy because I think I have the exact same dress from the 60s. It's
Get
purple
outta
and
here.
everything. Yeah, I'm like, great, I'm gonna get abducted by aliens because I collect vintage. So I saw the dress, and then she's describing her aliens. So when she came, her earrings, when she came home and they got cleaned up, right? She was gonna throw the dress away. She decided to keep it, but she didn't have her earrings anywhere. And a few weeks went by. They came home from something, and there was a pile of leaves in the middle of the dining room table, and her earrings were in the middle of the leaves. And
Chills.
yes, and I was like, for all the time, because people, you know, she like touted this story until the day she died, because he died earlier, obviously, but like she was adamant that this had happened, and I could not believe, like, how do you chaos? How do you discredit? Like, where did these come from? Why was there a pile of leaves in the middle of the kitchen table?
Right.
There was just so much about what had happened with the aliens. The fact that they had drawn two pictures separate and they came together and they were almost the exact same drawing. It's like, I guess I wanted to find out your thoughts on that. On, you have a couple that experienced this. How do you go about working that through? Do you discredit it? Do you agree? You know,
I fully believe that their story is 100% legit. Like, there's almost no gap in their story. The images that they portrayed are exactly the same. Like, there's so many after effects too from the abduction that they both dealt with that like, why are they having the same like thing happen to them? I don't remember exactly what it was, but because it's been so long since we touched. I think we did that story like 2.5 years ago, so it's kind of just like flown out of my brain.
Like other things have happened since then.
Right.
I was reading about it and I wanted to get your opinion on it, I guess, because it was such an interesting. You get these stories about aliens, and you're like, well, you can't just say I saw a little green man. Like there has to be more to it. I guess ultimately, in my opinion.
Well, wasn't there people that had the sighting like of that craft too the day that they got abducted? Like other people seen the craft, like they weren't the only people.
In different files, it shows up in other stories.
Yeah. That's what I was.
Yeah.
So like even then, it like adds more credibility to their story because other people seen it, or there's other people too that have came forward that have similar stories to them.
Yeah.
That didn't even know about their story. So it's like, if aliens are going to do something, I feel like they're going to be very ritualistic about it. You know, like they're going to do it the same way. If they're going to abduct people, the next person they abduct, they're not going to do it differently. Why would they do that? It's stupid. Right. Why would you try something different when you know this way works?
It was just so tricky because I think oftentimes movies and TV shows will influence what people are seeing. Definitely. All of a sudden you get an influence, you get an influx in stories about ghosts and aliens, where I think there was the movies about that galactic time period really got popular, and all of a sudden all of these sightings took off.
Right. I think have you seen the movie The Fourth Kind?
I love that movie.
So like after that movie, there was an uprise.
It is scary, actually.
Yeah, there was an uprise in people talking about being abducted and stuff because of that movie.
There was actual footage used in the movie too, and It was super eerie.
Yeah, it was a great movie. If you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out.
It's definitely spooky, but like 130,000% worth watching.
Yeah,
because it'll make you go, huh? And it takes place in Alaska, somewhere deep in the woods. I think it's Anchorage, honestly, right?
Yeah,
Alaska's creepy.
Anchorage.
I know,
and it's just so far up there, and it's so huge.
It's so isolated too.
I love Alaska.
And like some of the things that happen with like the scrapes on the floor, and like this like damn near exorcism of a person when they were like trying to retell what happened one night when they possibly were abducted.
And they used real audio from the actual like,
thanks, dude.
What is it? Hypnosis session, right?
Yeah. And they basically is like, he's outside my window, oh god, and then he starts destroying the room because he's like he's going back into what he was seeing.
Right.
It's fucking creepy.
I'll have to put it on the list. I'll have to watch it with the lights on. Thank you.
It's one of those where it's like, if it's jarring for you, yeah, watch with the lights on. Yeah.
I'll call
you. The weird thing for me is I feel like that when I watch movies and stuff, like, oh, something's gonna happen in my house. Like, oh, I see something. Like, I'm kind of a little jumpy, but like when I go actually paranormal investigate and come home, I don't feel that way.
Not at all.
No, I used to sit in I had this room. It kind of reminded me of a panic room where it was in the basement. It had no lights, no windows. And it was like, because it was in the basement, it was like sound wise, it didn't go anywhere. So I would sit in there in the dark, and then I am like this close to the screen trying to look at things. And I swear to God, now I think I see something in the reflection of my computer. So now all the lights are on. I'm trying to edit paranormal footage.
I watched The Grudge, and I had that exact feeling where I was like,
every little thing. No, thank you. Yeah.
And I was like, the hand's gonna come out of the back of my head whenever I showers, and I was like terrified to shower for a while, so I would only take baths.
No, thank you. I'm on enough medication to keep me not crazy. I don't need to add to that.
Sometimes I wonder if I'm crazy or autistic. I don't know. One of the two.
So I guess so we're kind of coming to the end of our stream, though. I do have a question. What do you guys have next?
What do we have next? Tomorrow we will be live with our good friend Drew from Living History Mysteries. So if you're not doing anything at 8 p.m., make sure to tune into the What Goes Bump the Night channel. because that is definitely going to be super crazy.
Yep.
Drew is an awesome guy with years and years and years of paranormal experience, probably over like 200 paranormal investigations himself. So
him and Danny are paranormal papa.
Yes,
paranormal.
They
papa,
are the
I
godfathers
like
of paranormal.
They are right.
Yep. And
Very
then
cool.
I think
All right.
the next thing on the agenda after we go speak with Drew tomorrow is going to be, hopefully we have our next investigation video, the one that we showed,
Right.
done, and it's fairly close to being at the apex of it, like able to be shown. I think we want to do one pure edit and like have some of our friends come watch it and give us some criticisms and whatnot, but
Sure,
hopefully
like a movie.
within the next couple of weeks we should be able to have that all
then
coming out.
Following that, we pretty much, after the holiday, every Wednesday we have a guest all the way, like we're booking into September right now, so it's
These
a
guys are way
crazy
more
time to
famous than
be
me.
part of the night crew for sure.
Famous.
We also
I don't know about
have,
famous yet.
we won't drop the name of the building, but we have a huge location coming up in July, so expect a couple really awesome investigation videos for this summer from us, and then hopefully, once we get into spooky season, we have some other locations coming to us. We'll probably end up heading back to Double J Ranch eventually too. So
cool. I'm excited for Creeptober. I'm gonna.
I know, me too.
This year.
I think me and Riley honestly should start a vlog of us like going to haunted houses and like doing stuff like that, and just like being like the goobers we are and just in public instead of doing like the investigation videos all the time too.
Because that's entertaining.
Yeah, I think so. Like TFIL is a good example. Like that channel and all the videos that they make are very entertaining, but they're always like doing things like that. And their early videos were a big reason why me and Riley wanted to do investigations like the way we do.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. Well, anybody who has stopped by, I have their socials in the little bottom section here of our Creepy Confidential After Dark. Come back. We're going to come at the last Tuesday of every month. That's my goal. Get in here and talk after dark. Find some cool topics. If you guys want to hit them up, please follow, subscribe, and as always, catch you next time on Creepy Confidential.